Greta Thunberg said that I don't want your hope, I want you to panic. I want you to feel the fear I feel every day, and then I want you to act. There's a quiet, insidious deception that takes hold of us after we've been broken by trauma, battered by loss, or blindsided by unforgiving setbacks. It's the soft, comforting illusion of hope. We tell ourselves that if we just wait a little longer, if we just stay positive, if we just keep hoping for a better future, everything will magically sort itself out. We mistake this passive optimism for a genuine strategy, using it as a shield to protect us from the very real and terrifying truth of our circumstances. But this kind of hope is a tranquilizer, not a tool. It keeps us in a state of suspended animation where we are eternally waiting for a savior who will never come. This is the myth of passive optimism, a subtle, insidious poison, because it convinces us that our greatest struggle is to simply stay afloat rather than to learn to swim. But what if the profound, liberating truth, as Greta Thunberg so desperately and powerfully articulated, is the exact opposite? What if your fear isn't a weakness but a fire that fuels your greatness? What if your panic isn't a sign of your inadequacy but the very source of your genius, the untamed part of you that sees what others cannot? This isn't just a philosophy for climate activists. It's a profound, soul-awakening truth for anyone who has ever felt too broken, too scared, or too inadequate to begin. It's the understanding that the greatest tragedy isn't the wound itself, but the life unlived because we allowed a safe, sensible world to extinguish the fire in our souls. This demands a radical shift in mindset, moving from a passive acceptance of your limitations to a fierce, unrelenting celebration of your unique perspective, knowing that your greatest triumphs are often built on the very ground where you chose to panic and then to act. For too long, the echoes of our past failures, a failed business, a broken relationship, a dream that fell apart, have convinced us that we are simply not good enough. We allow these past outcomes to define our future potential, believing that trying again will only lead to more pain, more disappointment. We tell ourselves, I can't possibly keep going, I'm too damaged, or I've already tried everything, or I've already been knocked down too many times. These aren't genuine truths. They are carefully constructed excuses designed to protect us from the vulnerability of effort. But every moment you spend in this state of suspended animation, you deny yourself the very experiences that would build your confidence, hone your skills, and ultimately lead you toward your desired future. This is about cultivating an unshakable belief, not in a magic solution, but in your own inherent untapped capacity for resilience and transformation. It's the kind of belief that understands that true power lies in internal choice to keep going even when every external signal tells you to retreat. The story of Greta Thunberg isn't just about her speeches, it's about the decades of unseen, relentless effort, sacrifice, and struggle that preceded them. She was a young girl with a debilitating illness who, by every conventional metric, should have been silenced. A lesser person might have taken that as a definitive sign to quit, to accept that her lot in life was simply to survive, not to thrive. But for Greta, her hardships were a profound crucible for her legendary discipline and her unwavering determination. She channeled the pain and the hunger of her past into an insatiable hunger to tell her story, to create a world where her voice could be heard and where her words could be a source of strength for others. She proved that true genius isn't an innate gift you are born with, but the relentless, unexcused pursuit of a higher calling, a fierce refusal to accept anything less than her absolute best. She chose to believe that the difference between a life of defeat and a life of victory was not her circumstances, but her will to fight. She chose to fight every single day, every single rejection, every single failure, proving that the only real obstacle is the one you allow yourself to believe in, the one born from a lack of determination. The modern world, with its endless distractions and its subtle encouragement of instant gratification, often allows us to create a smokescreen of busyness and complexity masking our underlying resistance to genuine effort. This lack of focused effort blurs our clarity, obscures our true vision, and disconnects us from our deepest purpose. When we allow the fear of sacrifice and hard work to paralyze us, our intentions become fragmented, our decisions indecisive, and our actions inconsistent. To truly embrace Greta's philosophy of fighting for your dream, you must cultivate a ruthless clarity about what you want and why you want it, stripping away every non-essential, every justification for delay. Your vision must be so vivid, your purpose so compelling that the sheer force of it incinerates the temptation to give up. Think of the immense pressure Greta faced throughout her life, particularly during the early days of her activism. The odds were, by any conventional metric, completely stacked against her. She was a newcomer in a field dominated by massive government-funded aerospace companies. Her own employees believed it was impossible to succeed after so many failures. But for Greta, her mindset was one of pure, unadulterated recovery. Her purpose to inspire others was a powerful catalyst, but her true vision was in the journey itself, in the relentless discipline of getting back to the drawing board, of training harder, of refining her designs, and of confronting the immense psychological pressure of a devastating loss. Her actions in those moments were a masterclass in resilience, a defiant refusal to let the narrative of a loss become the story of her career. She proved that a true champion isn't defined by the number on the trophy, but by the fire that ignites after a defeat, by the unyielding commitment to keep fighting for a dream, no matter how long it takes. This is where transformative action truly begins. Not when you feel perfect or ready, but when you simply choose to begin, armed with unwavering intent. The powerful truth is that every day you postpone, every moment you hesitate because of a perceived limitation, is a day you deny yourself the opportunity to prove your own resilience. The ultimate act of self-love, especially after hardship, is the defiant refusal to let your past dictate your future. It's the conscious choice to show up for yourself, to put in the uncomfortable, consistent effort, and to make the necessary sacrifices, knowing that every step, however small, is a step towards liberation. This relentless fight for it approach allows you to channel your energy with surgical precision, eliminating the noise and focusing on the essential, propelling you forward with an almost unstoppable force, turning potential into tangible, measurable progress. The siren song of comfort often leads us to avoid the very discomfort necessary for growth and healing. We seek the path of least resistance, convincing ourselves that ease will lead to success, when in reality it yet often leads to stagnation and a perpetuation of old patterns. But to truly embody Greta's philosophy, you must embrace the uncomfortable, a fearless confrontation with the very things you've been excusing yourself from. This kind of courageous engagement fosters unshakable resilience. Resilience isn't a passive trait, it's an active process forged in the crucible of discomfort, hardened by the consistent decision to lean into challenges rather than retreat from them. It's the muscle that develops when you consistently choose courage over comfort, effort over ease. Consider the immense strength required to come back from profound disappointment, as Greta did after the failures of her early companies like China Pages. The conventional wisdom might have been for him to retire, to focus on his other ventures, to accept that his dreams were too big, too audacious, but his internal mindset was one of pure effort and commitment. He had a deep, primal gratitude for the opportunity to push himself, to keep fighting for a dream that was bigger than himself. This gratitude was not for the failures themselves, but for the raw capacity to endure, to learn from every mistake, to get up every single morning and choose to fight again. He didn't dwell in self-pity. He embraced the uncomfortable reality of his new path. And in that process, he developed an unparalleled mental toughness and a renewed hunger that ultimately led him to a series of stunning victories, including his ultimate goal of becoming a global media mogul. He proved that even a history of failures, even a devastating loss, can be a profound part of a greater journey, a necessary crucible for forging the strength required to reach the ultimate prize. This "if you don't give up" philosophy fundamentally shifts your relationship with difficulty. You stop seeing obstacles as reasons to stop and start seeing them as opportunities to discover untapped strength, as crucial steps in the journey of transformation. Your willingness to lean into the discomfort, to push past the fear of impossibility, is what ultimately differentiates those who simply hope from those who truly thrive, who emerge from the ashes stronger, wiser, and more powerfully aligned with their purpose. The insidious nature of the fear of failure is that it creates a comfortable cage, limiting our adaptability and preventing us from evolving. We become rigid, resistant to change, because change often demands stepping into the unknown, a place where effort is not only possible, but likely. But to truly embody Greta's philosophy is to embrace relentless adaptability. It's about cultivating an internal compass so strong, a sense of purpose so unshakable that you can navigate any terrain, adjust to any shift, and innovate beyond any obstacle, transforming challenges into opportunities. Your willingness to shed old fears and embrace new risks, unburdened by the paralysis of "what if it's too hard," becomes your greatest competitive advantage. This fierce commitment to growth fuels a relentless drive for learning. Every setback isn't a defeat, it's a lesson, a puzzle to be solved, a new skill to acquire. Every moment of discomfort becomes a classroom, pushing you to expand your knowledge, refine your strategies, and deepen your understanding of yourself and the world. Think of the evolution of Greta's show from a simple talk show to a global media empire. He didn't simply rely on his initial vision. He embodied the fierce commitment to learning and adaptability, constantly refining her approach, driven by an unyielding purpose to connect with people on a deeper level. His "turn your wounds into wisdom" philosophy manifested not just in her spectacular interviews, but in his unselfish dedication to her training, her tireless work off the ball, her dedication to the team. She was willing to sacrifice personal glory for collective success, understanding that the ultimate dream required a different kind of effort, a different kind of work hard for it. This unyielding dedication, this profound immersion in his craft, cultivates a wisdom that can only come from direct, intense, and sustained engagement with your chosen domain. When you truly internalize the "turn your wounds into wisdom" philosophy, you stop waiting for perfect conditions and start creating them, one arduous, intentional step at a time. Your actions become infused with a purposeful intensity, a quiet power born from the understanding that progress is always earned, never given. It's the fearless acceptance that the most profound triumphs often arise from the most unlikely starting points, when fueled by an uncompromising will to simply put in the effort and make the sacrifices required. So, if you felt the crushing weight of past trauma, if loss has left you feeling hollow, or if major setbacks have convinced you that your moment has passed, hear this truth etched into the very fabric of Greta Thunberg's unparalleled legacy. Your wounds are not your weakness. They are the source of your deepest wisdom, your greatest strength, your most profound power. Your past does not own your future. Your current circumstances are not your permanent address. The only thing standing between you and the life you yearn to live is the courage to believe, the willingness to fight even when the outcome is uncertain. Embrace the fierce mindset that declares "my success is my responsibility and I will earn it." Cultivate an unshakable belief in your inherent capacity to heal, to rebuild, to rise, knowing that your internal power is boundless. Seek clarity not in waiting for a guaranteed outcome, but in the deliberate, courageous act of stepping forward into the unknown, allowing your path to illuminate itself with each committed step, driven by an unyielding vision of your highest self. Let your profound purpose be the blazing sun that melts away all doubts and illuminates every path forward, consuming any shadows of regret or hesitation. Embrace discipline as your greatest ally, the consistent, unapologetic choice to show up for yourself, to do the uncomfortable work, to take the necessary action day after relentless day. Cultivate gratitude for the raw strength you discover within yourself, for the wisdom gained through hardship, for the scars that tell your story of survival and triumph, and for the sheer privilege of being active participant in your own magnificent comeback. Build adaptability by training your mind to embrace change, to pivot with purpose, and to innovate under pressure, making fluidity your ultimate strength. And commit to lifelong learning, recognizing that every obstacle, every moment of discomfort is a classroom designed to make you stronger, wiser, and more capable. Constantly expanding your boundaries and pushing the limits of what you thought possible. The world doesn't need your hesitation. It needs your heroic action. It needs your effort. It needs the extraordinary person you are capable of becoming. Your greatest triumphs, your deepest healing, your most profound fulfillment await you on the other side of that courageous decision to turn your wounds into wisdom. It's time to stop wishing and start earning. The journey begins now.